So, Mr. Shomi, you're welcome to this Stolen Mandate series. Like I said, I'm Abdurrahman Abdurrahim. I'm the CEO of Thinkers Communications. We have said a lot about stolen mandate, stolen mandate, stolen mandate. The incumbent administration, they say they have done a lot in the last 4 years and they won the election deservedly. What do you have to say about this?
They won the election deservedly. Are they the ones to determine what Nigerians deserve, or are Nigerians the ones who are expected to say and give vent to how they wish to be served? Unless you are not living in this country, is there any group of people in Nigeria, even those who momentarily stand with the APC, that can tell you that he's happy with the way things are in the country? Just the other day, one of the very important celebrities in our country took them on and said she was scared that the country was going to implode based on the level of mismanagement that is going on and the crime and the criminality. Is it what is going on in Zamfara? Is it what is going on?
Sorry to cut you.
Yes.
We're talking about Montola. That was after the election.
Yes.
Actually, many of the people who voted for the incumbent administration in Zamfara, in Kano, they are now disappointed. After the election, it seems to have gone to them. So that may not necessarily mean that they didn't win the election. You
have not asked any question. You have said, are you asking me why I think he lost? Or are you telling me why he deserves?
You have reference to Omotola?
No, I'm telling you that because you said you thought in Nigeria they are deserving of whatever.
That's their claim.
Yes, they can claim. Look, anybody can claim anything that he wants to claim. The important thing is that we have looked at the books from our end and the information available to us and the evidence we've been able to garner and what the rules are. And we have laid a petition before the tribunal, and our grouse is very simple. Atiku Abubakar, presidential candidate of the PDP in the 2019 election, won that election. That a travesty has taken place, and momentarily His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari of APC has been declared, does not invalidate what we know and what we believe very strongly. That's why we're in tribunal. So when you now say deservingly, I have to ask, how is the poverty capital of the nation, of the world, a garland of honor that will make you deserve more work? Or is it the litany of dead bodies that you pick? Or was it the activities around the middle belt? Or is it, what is deserving about? So I think that you cannot say they won deservingly. You can't even say they deserve to be there. And you cannot say they represent anything futuristically in the best interest of the country.
How confident is your camp that you can reclaim this so-called stolen mandate?
I think we should first of all ask one question. What ought to be the principle by which the judiciary sees itself? I hold the view that the judiciary, especially the courts, are not an appendage of the executive arm of government or any arm of government at that. Neither are they in the business of taking sides with any political party or any organ or any of the litigants, as the case may be. Therefore, the principles of independence of the judiciary is what is being challenged here. When people ask about confidence, if we didn't have confidence in the judiciary, we wouldn't go there in the first instance. We have confidence in the Nigerian judiciary. We recall in our history a lot of great judgments that have come from that hollow chamber. And we believe also that the evolutionary improving direction of jurisprudence and even litigation suggests that qualitative and quality men are manning the judiciary. And we say this with every sense of responsibility of what it means to want to lead. Because when you don't have faith in the institutions of your own country, especially the judiciary, which is meant to sort of be the legal policeman between all of the other arms, interpreting things, explaining things, calling orders and making judgment and legislating and ensuring that everybody can get along well within the ambit of what is the law. The judiciary will
Okay.
Except a travesty of justice.
Before
Except a travesty of justice.
when
The evidence.
When the Justice Onoge saga started, the PDP was all over the place saying it's a constitutional, it's wrong. It's one of the APC's plan to rig the election and get a soft landing in the judiciary. Now Onoge seems to have gone. Justice Tonko, your camp claims the APC one is there. With Justice Tonko as the acting CJN or Onoge out, do you still have confidence that you can get justice in the judiciary?
The Onogen issue has to do with how the number one judge in our country was interfered with, dragged out, brought before an appendage court that is getting its authority from the executive and made to go and face some proceedings in the tribunal, Code of Conduct Tribunal. Time will allow the judiciary to decide whether that court, the Code of Conduct Tribunal, should ordinarily have such enormous powers to the extent that it can do what it has done. Time will allow the judiciary self-correct and get their own independence. What we queried at that time, we queried what seemed to us as a PDP as an overstretching of the arm of the executive into the independence of another organization that has its own self-correcting mechanism. The self-correcting mechanism of the judiciary, of the court, is the NJC. So we had expected that rather than jump into the place and start doing all that, we had expected that even if there was issues around that they could have not put the cart before the horse. When the NJC now came with his own recommendation, which is hush-hush, that maybe is recommending that they should go on retirement, early retirement, we can't begrudge the NJC that. But if we do not always insist that these fine lines that separate each of the organs is respected, we will become a dictatorship. Now, the worst thing in a civilian dictatorship is that, at least with military dictatorship, military officers are trained to exercise power within the ambit of what the soldiers are expected to do. So there is some kind of training that goes into what is not correct, what is right, what is excessive.
Okay, let me come on.
Even that is abused.
Okay, let me come on this way. Even if you get justice from the tribunal, the APC is likely, what you call justice at the tribunal, APC is likely to appeal at the Supreme Court. Now, your camp, like I said, claimed Justice Tanko, who was acting CJN now, was brought in an illegal manner or in an unconstitutional manner to do the bidding of the incumbent. Are you still sure you are going to get justice from a panel that will be chaired by Justice Tanko Mohammed?
Be careful that you take the comments of some other people to mean the generalized comments of people in my camp. His Excellency Atiku Abubakar, my principal, is not one of those who flippantly says things. I believe that the integrity of the acting Chief Justice of Nigeria must be respected intact. And I also believe, and I believe His Excellency believes, that you cannot say that Nigerians will not enjoy justice under the acting Chief Justice of Nigeria because of the circumstances by which he came. Don't forget that Justice Tanko seems to me as a very pious Muslim. And any pious Muslim, one of the greater things that a pious Muslim holds on to is the day of judgment, when all mortals will come before the Supreme Being and give account as to how they use authority. And among those that will be judged finely and well will be those who have been given authority. And you can get that from the Yasin, where in Arabic it is said, Bima gafara li rabbi wajahala min mina mukramin. Meaning, Almighty Allah has given them elevated stations and ranking according to the knowledge and the responsibility they are to hold. So I have absolute no reason to believe that on the evidence that may be produced before the court that Justice Tanko will be doing anything other than what a dignified judge should do. In any case, if a travesty of justice were to take place, according to where people speculate on all things, at least society will see it. We are not going to, I will never insist that we have won before trial. And I will never insist that we have won in spite of the other side's ability to defend this case. The case will be rigorously pursued. We pray to God that it is actually our institution and the judiciary that's on trial. For justice in this particular case must not just be done. Justice must be seen to be done. You know why? Because if you steal the will of the people and you deprive them of the opportunity that democracy confers on them, which is the right to choose their leaders according to the law and the rules and the guidelines and the procedures that was first agreed, you would have done irreparable damage to the future of the people. And I believe that no judge worth his salt will sit in chambers and do that. How much more the very elevated Chief Justice of Nigeria. Okay. So I join my faith with the faith of those who believe that our institution will man up.
Okay, let's talk more on the recent developments that are coming out of your petition. Your principal, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, was born in 1946 in Jeddah, part of northern Cameroon. When he was born, that village where he was born was not part of Nigeria. Now, as part of its own defense to your petition, the APC has come to remind Nigerians that the constitution says that's the number one criterion, that you must be a Nigerian, not by descent, not by naturalization, not by any other means, but by birth. Now, even if your principal had even been declared winner by INEC, that means APC would have gone to court to say, since we came second, we should be declared winner, because the man that INEC announced as the winner of the election was not even qualified to contest because he was born in Jeddah, in the then northern Cameroon. What do you say?
Do you really understand what you've just said?
I do.
No, I don't think you do. For if you did, you will understand that you are giving vent to what constitutes hate speech. It is criminal. It is extremely dangerous. It is destabilizing. It is maliciously capable of imploding nations when you make statements that seeks to delegitimize the birthplace, the nationality, and the nativity of bona fide citizens of your country. I think we'll just say that may God give us men who can bear the huge responsibilities of leadership. No leader of Nigeria worth his salt would have allowed that to be put on a piece of paper about a former vice president of the country. Do you know what you are really saying?
What APC says?
First of all, those of you in the media who are running with this nonsense, You should have said to the APC, APC, give us the evidence that you even have about where President Buhari comes from, where his mother is from, where his father is from. Find us the biography that speaks to his own birth from time immemorial. And if you want to know, I can give you the biographies that speaks to Atiku's birth. I can read loud. Almost every Nigerian who is interested can read loud how Atiku is a Nigerian. Let me start from Atiku's grandfather, the man whose name was Atiku, that he was named after, Abdulkadir. His grandfather is from Sokoto. His grandmother is from Jigawa. His grandmother went to live in a location that was part of the Northern Protectorate. And because of plebiscite issues, which fundamentally should hurt any African, which borders on, in the first instance, what right has anybody outside Africa got to draw imaginary borders across Africans and split villages and split borders? And what should be a reason for us to demand reparation from Europeans? These jokers have turned it into something that can irritate decent Nigerians. Look, Nigeria, as the Federal Republic of Nigeria, our beloved country, the country that I believe Atiku will lead one day, soon, has clearly in its constitution how you acquire your citizenship. Either or, one or the other of your grandparent, grandfather or grandmother.
That's by descent.
Grandfather or grandmother, either of them must be a bona fide Nigerian. In Atiku's case, both are. In the second instance, what they are saying without really thinking is similar to saying that I, being a Nigerian, when my Nigerianness is not an asking question, moved to go and live in Ghana. And while I am in Ghana, I married a woman who also is a Nigerian. And then we produced a son in Ghana who was named with our Nigerianness. And then somebody is telling my son
that cannot be the Nigerian president.
That is not a Nigerian.
But that's what the Constitution says.
No, that's not what the Constitution says. Do not interpret the Constitution according to your own wishes. In the 1963 Constitution, that plebiscite issue was dealt with and dealt with finally for those areas that you are saying are not part of Nigeria will undermine the creation and the essence of the country Nigeria. For if you do not know, for the purposes of those who don't know history, the country Nigeria did not fly into existence because the Hausa Fulani people, the Yoruba people, the Efik people, the Ibibio people, the Birom people, and all the ethnic nationalities in Nigeria suddenly sat down in a conference and said, we want to be calling ourselves Nigeria. It is part of the movement of foreigners in Africa that created the country. And to address issues of this nature after the plebiscite, and if you want to know for the purpose of education, the plebiscite came about because some location, which presently some of them now in southern Cameroon, came to a situation where they need to now decide. Let me explain to you. It was after the loss of the First World War, Germany lost, and they partitioned German territories, colonies, among the Britons and the French. So there was now a question of what part of this German colony wants to stay with the British and what part wants to stay with the French. Normally, when an adult who understands, or even a young person who understands history, gets to that part of the history of our country, he ought to tie himself up and weep a river. That so we have become a people who do not even know our historical antecedents to know who we are. Now, The joke is not on Atiku, it's not on the people of Adamawa. The joke is on the jokers who are talking about that now. Why? Because invariably, it's coming down to hate speech. When you begin to give nationalities of countries reasons to believe that for annoying, unacceptable, not appropriate politics, you are going to be saying people like Awolowo, people like Atiku, people like all of your leaders who were part of a system that created the country Nigeria. You are saying that they are not your citizens. And yet, you are foolish enough not to trace the origin of who you want to allege. In Atiku's case, Atiku is a Nigerian.
By birth.
By birth, by origin, by descent, by relationship, by thoughts, by marriage, by children, by acculturation, by responsibility, by title. Everything in Atiku's fiber.
And DNA is Nigeria.
Everything in Atiku's fiber, the DNA, the molecular, smallest particle of Atiku is Nigeria.
Okay, let's
He's even probably more. He's probably more Nigerian
than
Buhari.
Okay, let's discuss some other related developments on your petition. You keep insisting that you won the election on the basis of the information you have on INEC's server. But INEC keeps insisting that there was no electronic transmission of results. So there was no server anywhere that you could have gotten those results from. So they claim those results were fake.
Yes, you see, in the case of that which you have said, you know one of the things I like about Atiku, and one of the things I want Nigerians to like about Atiku, I want to digress a bit. Atiku is a very thorough man. The first time I was going to find myself in one of his business facilities in Port Harcourt was Intel's. And we were housed there. I've been around the world, speak German fluently. I had to keep asking the people there that, are we in Netherlands? Because the only thing that resembled it closely, to my mind, was somewhere around the Van Dam Straits, where you have the oil and gas installation in Netherlands. And I then asked them, how long has this been in existence? When they told me, and I asked, it belongs to this man? He said, yes. I kept asking myself, which devil is over Nigeria that will make Nigeria have a son like Atiku, whose vision and whose capacity for details is like this, and you'll be wasting the time of the progress of a nation. Atiku is too detailed for them. By the time we were telling them that we know what was in the server, I'm sure they didn't even know that we had the Microsoft product ID of the server. A Microsoft product ID is an ID that is registered to one particular product of Microsoft that cannot be shared by two, owned only by one. And if it didn't exist, we can't have that number. And beyond that, you will be wondering, how can Nigeria, a country that is struggling to reenact its own former preeminence, who is struggling to break off from all the things that is tying it down, preventing it from the greatness that its people audaciously believe is capable of, you wonder, how can they even begin to think that 245 or so billion naira will be allocated to INEC for the purposes of the election, of which about 27 billion was budgeted for these same electronic things. And INEC will have the temerity to come and be telling Nigerians that they don't have, just because they know that the information that is contained in that server validates our position that Atiku won. So if it's like a thief who has stolen from you, you got good intelligence to know that the good is in one person's house. What do you think is the basis by which the courts and the police obtain search warrants? They obtain search warrant that they may go and search the location where that material is. So if we have alleged and we have claimed and we have put on record and we are presented before the tribunal that our result, the result of all Nigerians, the result of the elections that all Nigerians participated in, that indicates that we won, is in the server. The easiest thing for them to do, if they were smart, is to open up the server and tell us, here is the server. Nothing is there. Go on.
I have two more questions.
Yes.
One, still on this issue, why the last one coming from other development outside the petition.
Fire on.
You see, I see you are so confident about getting this stolen mandate. You see, let me take you a little bit into history. Apart from the fact that in Nigeria, no presidential election has been cancelled. None has been turned the other way. If you check all over the world, only 4 countries have had their election cancelled. None has been given back to the loser. All the 4, they were just rerun were ordered. And in all the 4 where rerun were ordered, the same person that won before still won.
What's your question?
So my question is, Atiku, is it number one, is it going to be the first time in the history of the world that a presidential election will be conducted and the person that allegedly came second by INEC's record will now be first? Or in the order for a rerun, Atiku will win this time. That's breaking 2 world records. Because like I said,
the first man, let me answer you so I save you from this filibustering. The first man to go to space was Yuri Gagarin. He was the first. The first man to put his leg on the moon was Neil Armstrong. Life and mankind are creatures of record-breaking scenarios and situations. Until Almighty God ends the world, if He's going to end it, records will always be broken. Atiku and the Nigerian courts are going to look at this petition on its merits. They're going to look for how to do substantive justice, and they're going to make pronouncements that everybody will abide with. We believe, on the strength of what we believe, is that we will win. Let us not worry ourselves with whether we believe our justices cannot do it. If Kenya can do it, Nigeria can do it times 2. We have more human capacity to do so. Now, on the question of whether the man who was called second will now come first, and the man who was called first will now come second, I'll just tell you that. That
will be a world record.
No. In the first instance, we believe we came first now.
Okay.
So when we didn't come second, we believe we came first now. We believe our mandate has been stolen mandate. And we believe if you ask us to do the election 50 times, we believe, in fact, we will win by bigger margins. Because those who previously entertained the indolence of the APC have now suddenly begun to be very angry. I almost had a heart attack or palpitation when I saw Kari Ahmed. When I saw Kadaria lying on the ground, screaming, shouting, I kept asking myself, is this not Kadaria? Or is this not the same Kadaria of the candidate fame? So I'm telling you that the country itself needs the judiciary to redress the wrong so that we can commence very, very, very quickly the rebuilding of our nation. Nations are not in a democracy so that they can maintain status quo. No. Nations are given the opportunity of a democracy so that they can continually reinvent the future. Every stolen mandate is rarely interpreted to you, I, the market woman, the trader, the conductor, the student, the teacher, the civil servant, the farmer, as a stolen future.
Okay. Now, away from the petition, in 2018, Benue, Plateau, Zamfara, everywhere, a lot of killings, maybe unprecedented in the country's history. It was part of the basis of your campaign that these people cannot do this job. But since President Buhari was declared winner, it seems the killings have either tripled or quadrupled in parts of, especially in Zamfara. Now, some persons are now saying, they even regretted even supporting the government administration. What would Atiku have done differently?
Thank you for this question. Because sometimes, thank you for this question. A lot of people have always asked me, Segun, why are you so passionate about this Atiku guy and his mandate? I will answer you. I am aware as to the amount of research, preparation, audacity to think the right thoughts, confronting the issues from a mental living and shaking off of the present status quo that Atiku has done. Do you think a man who can stand and tell the world that I will privatize NNPC, knowing fully well the attendant risk, do you think he's not a thinker? For him to say, I will privatize NNPC, when he said it, a great number of those who should have re-echoed it, knowing fully well that that is the right thing to do, chose to play politics with it. Today, almost all of them are on the same page. So it seems to me that Atiku is very futuristic, and he carries a burden of waiting for others to get the point that seems to come to him effortlessly. On security, Atiku believes that something is not adding up. It is unusual for Nigerians to be killing themselves. And that's one of the reasons why he felt we needed to talk about restructuring. That's one of the reasons why he's allowed himself to conceive and accept the idea that policing must become multimodal. Multimodal in the sense that states will have, local government can have, and the federal government will oversee them, just like it happens in other developed economies. And Atiku believes that the protocols around the borders of Nigeria must have to review it. For what is the point if people are coming in to come and kill them? So at the end of the day, Atiku's mandate that has been stolen is not really Atiku's mandate. It is the mandate of all of us as Nigerians. And it's not just the mandate. Lest people don't really give their mind the ability to conceive the consequence. That's why it is the future of you and I, maybe our children, maybe the next generation that has been stolen. Those things that Atiku wishes to do are things that must be done. And we just pray to God that all things come together and the mandate be retrieved. Thank you very much.